Hi everyone, in this lesson we're going to go through the top video transitions that you'll use in Adobe Premiere Pro. From the speed ramp, to the straight cut, to the whip, cross dissolve, jump cut, to the more complex invisible cut, the change of scene cross zoom, the push transition, the similar wipe transition, dip to white, and dip to black. And at the end of this video, we're going to go through 5 key enhancements to make these transitions really stand out. If you'd like to keep this video for future reference, please like it now. Let's get started. Transition 1, dip to black. Okay, so first of all, let's make sure we all have the same layout. So we'll go to Window, Workspaces, Editing, and Window, Workspaces, Reset to Save Layout. Now that we all have the same layout, let's go over to the Project panel and scroll down to Effects and type in Dip. And you can see here we have the Dip to Black option, and we'll drag and drop that across to the start of the first clip. I will zoom in here by clicking and dragging the scroll bar. Then let's go up to the dip to black transition and drag it to the right hand side to make it longer, because we want this fade effect to be a little more subtle and not as sudden. Okay, great, that looks good. And let's drag a similar one to the end of the sequence so that it is symmetrical in transition. And again, let's select our transition and drag the handle to the left here to make it longer. So again, it fades out more smoothly. And I'll click and drag to zoom out again. Transition 2, dip to white. So again, let's go over to our project panel, choose Effects, and type in Dip, and drag and drop dip to white across, and place it in between these two clips. That looks a little bit too long for me, so I will select the transition, drag the handle to make it shorter. That is a smooth change of scene. Let's drag another dip to white in between these two clips here. And again, let's make it shorter to make the transition snappier. Transition 3, straight cut. So this is the most popular and the most used cut and transition in film and video. And it's just the straight cut here where you can see you cut directly between two scenes without applying any effect whatsoever. Transition 4, whip. So again, let's go over to our effects panel and type in the word whip and drag and drop the whip transition between these two clips here. So that whip looks a little bit too slow for me. It needs to be sped up. So again, I will zoom in, click on the transition, and drag the handle to make it much, much shorter. That's far more effective in reflecting the speed at which these motorbikes are driving. And I'll apply a second whip here between these two clips and make it a similar length. Transition 5, cross dissolve. So again, we'll go over to our effects panel, type in cross dissolve, and drag and drop this transition between these two clips. Testing that, it looks a little bit too slow, so I will drag the handle here to make it shorter. Let's test it again. That is far better. Transition 6, jump cut. So this is where you go from one scene here, which is zoomed out, to a more zoomed in shot. That is the jump cut. So you're using a straight cut between two scenes, one which is zoomed out and one which is more zoomed in. Transition 7, cross zoom. So again, let's go over to our effects panel, type in the words cross zoom, and then let's drag and drop the cross zoom transition in between these two clips. Perfect. Transition 8, push. So in between these two clips, let's type in push into our effects panel, and we'll drag and drop the push transition in between these two clips here. This looks a little bit too slow and obvious, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it shorter So let's drag the handle to make it shorter, and it'll be less noticeable as a result. Next up, transition 9, wipe. This is similar, but slightly different. So let's go to Effects, type in wipe, and drag and drop the wipe transition in between these two clips. As you can see, it's slightly different than the push transition, but it's a bit too long, so I'm going to drag the handle here to make it shorter. Let's drag it even more to make it faster. Transition 10, speed ramp. So this clip is far too long, and we'd like to introduce our video with a fast pace. So let's type 211 into our timecode and make a cut there using the cut tool. You can press C or select it from the menu. Let's select the clip, right click and choose speed duration, and at 778%, and we'll select the ripple edit. We'll switch off reverse speed. That speeds it up to give us our speed ramp. Transition 11, invisible cut. So this is probably the most complex of all of the transitions, but it can work when transitioning between two different scenes seamlessly. So first of all, let's go to our timecode and change it to 16:05. And then let's go up to our position and change it to 2445 and 779 to set the first keyframe. And then let's go to the timecode and input 17 seconds and 16 frames. And let's position this clip at 1385 to set the second keyframe. Then let's go to the timecode and go to 19 seconds and 3 frames. And let's change the position to -2432. As you can see, this moves the clip so that it moves into darkness. And lastly, let's zoom in this clip a little bit by changing the scale to 120. And we'll do the same with the clip afterwards. So we'll go to the timecode and we'll input 1904 and we'll set a keyframe and we'll change the scale to 879% to make the screen mostly dark. And then we'll go to the timecode again and go to 20 seconds and 1 frame, and we'll change the scale here to 100%. So it's zooming out to show the full frame. Let's test that. Okay, great. That looks good. Enhancement 1, black bars. So the first thing we're going to do is go into our project, then right click and choose new item, new adjustment layer. Let's then rename this adjustment layer black bars and drag it across into our sequence on video track 3. Let's drag it all the way to the end of the sequence and then double click it to open it in our effect controls. We'll then go down to our effects, type in crop, drag it up to our adjustment layer, and we're going to crop 11.5% at the top and 11.5% at the bottom. As you can see, this has added our black bars to give us the film look. Enhancement 2, reframe. So now that we've added black bars to our video, we can reframe each of the shots to make sure that they're nicely framed in between the two black bars. So as you can see here, for the first 2 shots in the effect controls panel, I'll change the vertical position to 1148 to reframe the 2 shots in the exact same way for a smooth transition. For the second clip, I'm going to change the vertical position here to 869 to frame the motorbike riders in the center of the screen, and I'll fast forward the rest of the adjustments throughout the video to speed things up. Enhancement 3, color grading. So as you can see here, we have our shot nicely framed, but if we go to Window, Lumetri Color, and then go over to our creative section, we can choose a look for our footage. So I will scroll down to SL, Clean Fuji, A, NDR. As you can see, this color grading has enhanced the transition. Enhancement 4, text titles. So now that we have our footage nicely framed with black bars and color grading, let's add some text titles to the start. So we'll choose our type tool by pressing T or selecting it in the menu, and we will type video transitions. Let's then change the duration of this text by dragging the end of it here and snapping it to the end of the video clip beneath. And then we'll go to Window and we'll open our Essential Graphics and we'll change the font to Montserrat Light. And increase the font size by sliding across here until we're happy. And finally, we will center align it horizontally and vertically. Okay, great. Enhancement 5, add in a soundtrack. Finally, let's add a soundtrack to our transition video. So let's drag and drop the soundtrack here onto audio track 1. And then let's make some adjustments to fine tune it. So firstly, we don't want the video ending with the music increasing in volume. So what we'll do is we'll go to our effects panel, we'll type in constant power, and we'll drag and drop that effect across onto the end of our soundtrack so that it fades out along with the dip to black. Next, looking at the start of the video, it would be great if the music starts as the video transition text appears and the dip to black has finished fading. So we'll drag the soundtrack here and we will cut off the end of the audio that we don't want anymore, and we'll reapply the constant power transition to the end of the soundtrack. That is a nice way to finish the video. Lastly, let's just check the timing of the text with the start of the audio. As you can see, it's not 100%. So what we'll do is we'll drag our video transition text to here so that they occur at the same time. Okay, let's watch that from the top. If you'd like to learn how to edit professionally using Adobe Premiere Pro, please check out my online course. The link to my academy is in the description below. Here's a 20-second overview of everything that you could learn. Thank you for watching. I am an Adobe certified professional in digital video using Adobe Premiere Pro. If you would like to see new lessons as I post them, please subscribe to my channel. And if there's any particular skill you'd like to learn in Adobe Premiere Pro, please leave it in the comments and I will put it on the list of upcoming lessons. A sincere thank you for your time today.